Hello. Let's use the time as we slowly wrap up to do a quick recap of cybersecurity terms. This is Dr. Data. So let's start off. So we'll just go alphabetically and we'll split it into multiple pieces so that you can listen to them whenever you want to and get a general idea. So let's start off with A. Active packet sniffing. So what is active packet sniffing? Well, definition-wise, it's a type of attack where data packets are manipulated in transit. So what happens is, of course, as we know, all kind of digital communication is broken rather than the previous idea of a circuit switching system into a packet network. So everything is broken into data packets. Now, as these data packets use TCP/IP and IP in order to know the address and the configuration of what goes in where, like solving a jigsaw puzzle, these are sent over the network. Once they're in the network, they're called packets in transit or data in transit. This is different from data at rest, which is when it's sitting but not being sent anywhere. This is the time because it's traveling. It's a good time for attackers to oftentimes attack these packets while they're in transit. That's why it's an active packet sniffing, because the packet is active and you're trying to sniff the packet to figure out, I wonder what that is. Is that a password? Is that a login? What might it be? Next one is called ARP, or Address Resolution Protocol. What is Address Resolution Protocol? ARP is used to determine the MAC address of the next router or device to traverse. So, of course, as connections are made within networks, there's something called a MAC address. A MAC address is very much like, it's called machine access control. So which is, simply put, a unique ID given to your machine, right? That doesn't change. It is a fixed ID for your machine. So when it travels from one machine to another, it goes through, it could be a router, it could be a device, and the packet has to traverse from one part to another within a network. And that is oftentimes used, so you use ARP as a protocol to figure out, how do we resolve the address? Is it going to a router? Is it going to a switch? Is it going to a bridge? Is it going to another computer? And that is where you have all these network configurations such as hubs and switches and routers and all bridges and all that stuff, right? So that is oftentimes within a network, within a small network, you can use ARP to determine the MAC address of the next router or device that it needs to reach. Then comes something called bandwidth. You've heard the term all the time, especially when you're talking about, oh, we want to get 5G, we want to get a new router, we want to sign up for this broadband service. All you're saying, when I say it's broadband, you're basically saying it has a larger bandwidth, which is the maximum data transmission capacity over a network, measured by bits per second. That's where you see gigabits per second, Gbps, megabits per second. And so all it says is how wide, that's why it's broadband, right? So very, very similar. Broad is width. So broadband is something that has a high bandwidth, which means you can send more data. And of course, as you understand and know very well, if you're playing something like online video games, whether you're playing Call of Duty or Smite or any kind of, or watching any kind of videos, you need more and more bandwidth as content becomes richer and richer. So if you want to watch something on a 4K resolution, right? So then you have to ensure that you have greater bandwidth versus something that might be a standard definition resolution. Then comes something called baseline configuration. What is baseline configuration? Baseline configuration is nothing but a documented set of specifications within a system that is used as a basis for future builds, releases, and updates. So what does that mean? What you're saying is, A baseline, of course, is the minimally accepted configuration that you need, right? So this is what you'd agreed upon. So this is what you have to deliver as a baseline. It's the minimum set. So similarly, you use these configurations at a systems level, at a software level, at building a network, whatever you use it for, you'll use a set of specifications that will be the base specifications. That creates a baseline configuration. That's what you would call as version 0. Then when you build the next set, if it's a small build, it might be a version 0.5. If it's a large build, it might be version 1. Right? So that's where you have all these things like builds, releases, updates, patches, and so forth. Next, what's Bluetooth? So Bluetooth, of course, is nothing but a type of technology that's used for wireless communication with nearby physical devices. You've seen these things like NFCs, near field communications, Bluetooth we use all the time, whether we're listening to music. So again, it's short distance, high bandwidth, but it also therefore requires more data to be transferred. So the range is short, that's why your Bluetooth typically will fall out of range and disconnect if you get too far away from the device that you're transmitting from, or transmitting, or receiving, transmitting to, or transmitting from, right? And so Bluetooth, and of course it came out of the very famous Harold Bluetooth, and that's why you see the old runic sign for Bluetooth. Then is something called a botnet, which is nothing but a collection of computers infected by malware that are under the control of a single threat actor, and also known as the bot herder. So think of the bot herder as a puppet master or a puppeteer. And so the bot herder is a puppeteer, and our computers suddenly become puppets because they're infected by some malware that are all being controlled. So it could very well be that the minute you put your computer into idle, something in the background that's under the control of the bot herder starts up and sends pings, right? And sends thousands of maybe denial of service attacks to other machines. And when they try to trace you, the threat actor, they don't find the threat actor because the threat actor is acting as a bot herder who's hiding all the malware across various different machines. And when they try to trace it, they'll think that, why are all these machines hitting us? Why are all these smart monitors suddenly hitting us? Because you really don't know. They suddenly start acting like a spider net, but the spider is not there. The spider is the bot herder, or the puppet master, the puppeteer, and we've all turned into puppets infected by malware. Next one coming up soon.